Have you been binging our content and all that's been helpful? You're starting to think that perhaps this now is becoming a reason that you're not sleeping well. If so, you're onto something. And it may be time for you to take a sleep detox. Welcome back to our channel. Hope you're doing really, really well. And I hope this topic will be of great value for you because it is a very common question. A lot of people say, "Hey, Daniel, like I'm devouring, all your videos, but I'm starting to think it's a bit too much." So again, very common question. I hope this will bring a lot of value to you in today's episode. We are going to talk about the sleep detox. We are going to look at what it is. What is a sleep detox? We are going to look at when it may be time for you to take a sleep detox, and what to do if you find it helpful, and if you don't find it helpful. So that is the agenda for today in this class. But before we jump into it, very quickly, I want to say that some of you may have noticed that I haven't been replying to all the comments like I did in the past, and it's simply because I I don't have the time and bandwidth to do it anymore. And it's, to be honest with you, it's more about bandwidth than time. I love replying to comments, but when you do, you have to sort of like read through it, digest it, think about a meaningful reply, and it keeps me from a lot of things that I feel at this point are more pressing, which is, for example, getting a video like this one properly edited. As you can tell, this is not edited because I'm scrambling to do this on the very day I'm posting it, and I feel like I'm really neglecting a lot of work that really needs to be done. I'm working on courses. I've already put together a course on, medications. I call it 1, 2, 3 medication free. I've started a course on, for somebody who's done CBT-I and didn't find it helpful, CBT-I magic. And our current course, which is the free course, which we call Ready to Sleep in 5 days, is in my opinion so good that it can't be free like that. It's too good to be free. So that eventually we're going to have another like freebie, but the current free course is going to be paid, and I'm going to start building like a catalog, like a content library with courses. But of course, going to keep doing what I'm doing here too, like posting everything I know for free here, of course, because my goal in life is really to educate everyone. But anyway, what I wanted to say here was just that in terms of like replying to every content here on YouTube, I just can't do it anymore. Catherine, our student access specialist, she may be answering some comments. Uh, on Instagram, and on TikTok, it's very convenient because I can actually reply with a video to comments right away. So I'm still finding it possible to reply to some comments on YouTube, on Instagram and TikTok. And Twitter, or X, is also helpful because when I reply there, it really gets to a lot of people. So still trying to reply to at least some comments on those platforms. But I just wanted to share that right away. Now, with that said, let's dive into today's topic, which is the sleep detox. So what is a sleep detox? Again, this is something I hear very often. Hey, Daniel, I've been binging your videos and I'm not sure this is a good idea at this point. What this person is basically asking, perhaps without knowing it, is it time for me to take a sleep detox? So what is that? Well, a sleep detox is deliberately pausing learning about insomnia for a period of time to kind of see how that feels and how that goes, right? And so nothing complicated. It's basically somebody says like, okay, I've been reading these books, I've been listening to this video, this podcast, I've been working with a coach, but I think now I'm going to just not do that for 2 weeks, for example, or for a week, or for 3 weeks, whatever amount of time, period of time, up to you, whatever feels right. But deliberately just taking a pause from learning is a sleep detox. Now, um, for some, maybe if you're new to this channel, it may be not so obvious how this can be helpful, right? Because naturally, like, learning, it is helpful. Like I always stress, like education is so helpful. So how could a sleep detox be helpful? Well, it can really be an invitation to shift attention. And there's this kind of paradox here, which is that we sleep really well when we're not giving sleep any attention, right? But how can we leave the struggle? Well, that really typically requires some learning to understand what we've been going through. So then we shift attention towards sleep, and it's a little paradoxical because sleep is effortless, but sometimes we need to put in a little effort to arrive where there's no effort, right? But when is it time to kind of like deliberately see if shifting attention is helpful. Well, that's what we're talking about here. But my point right now is just that the sleep detox, it kind of invites us to shift attention to other things in life that we may have not been engaging with so much. So this is one way the sleep detox can be really helpful, because when our attention shifts, we're not thinking about sleep anymore, we're not pondering it, we're not engaging with this anymore. It just happens by itself. So this can be really, really nice. And another potential benefit with sleep detox is that you know what we have learned can sort of sink in and coalesce, and that can be a little trickier when we're constantly kind of putting in like new information and new thoughts and new ideas, which by the way are all really the same ideas. It's like our teaching is very, very principled, but still, if we're constantly learning new things, then what we already have learned may not really kind of sink in and coalesce, right? So sleep detox can help with this. A sleep detox can also sort of confirm that we really don't need anything for sleep to happen. Sleep is an effortless, passive process. Our brain and body knows exactly how to take care of sleep, right? And when we are continuously learning, we can start to think that, I need to do this. I need to tune into these videos. I need to read these books. I need to keep doing something for sleep to happen. But in reality, that's not true, right? And the sleep detox can invite us to see that, yeah, even without spending any time, watching videos or tuning into a podcast or anything like that, sleep just happens, right? So these are three things I wrote down that can be, really nice benefits from a sleep detox. Now, one thing I just wanted to point out is that a sleep detox can kind of look like something we call closing the hood. And if you haven't watched that episode, then I'm smiling because like I'm talking about a sleep detox and at the same time like inviting somebody to watch another episode. But with that in mind, um, closing the hood is an episode that I recently did, and it's actually Insomnia episode number 527, and I missed a letter there, so I'm checking correctly here. Know the difference between sleep detox and closing the hood. It can be really helpful because closing the hood is when we just have learned a little bit, and that has given us kind of reassurance that, okay, nothing's wrong with me, starting to feel sleep easier, and then we're just like, this is it, I'm closing the hood, I'm not going to learn anymore, and hope for the best. That's very different from a sleep detox. A sleep detox is something, it's deliberate. We have understanding, we have knowledge. There's nothing mysterious to us, right? But this can still be helpful to learn about. So if this sounds of interest to you, then check out Insomnia Insight number 527. Okay, so now we've looked at what a sleep detox is, and now we're going to ask the question of when is it perhaps time to take a sleep detox? Well, I would say like the fundamental thing to me is understanding here. I think it's probably not like, on one hand, sleep doesn't require anything, right? So for anyone who just feels like, it's time for me to just leave this whole thing, that may be great, right? But generally speaking, I think understanding why you've had trouble sleeping and what insomnia is really, really helpful. So number one for me in terms of the sleep detox is, you understand insomnia and why you had trouble sleeping. That's if you don't, then probably it's not a time for a sleep detox, right? But if you have this understanding, and one of three things here I added, you have this understanding, and you're sensing that learning about insomnia is becoming kind of a safety behavior. It's becoming something you do to not feel anxious. You're like, you have this understanding, but sometimes you're like, what if I'm starting to feel anxious? What if I don't sleep tonight? Oh, maybe I should listen to this video, right? If you're starting to sense that like learning about insomnia is actually not really learning about insomnia anymore, it's starting to become like a safety behavior. That's tricky, because we know that when we do something to feel safe, then we're also kind of teaching our brain that there's something to feel safe from, right? So if you have understanding plus you're sensing that like tuning in, learning is becoming sort of a safety behavior, that could be a really nice time for a sleep detox. Or if you have understanding and you're just feeling kind of full, you're sort of like satisfied, you're like, there's nothing more for me to learn. You're like, maybe it start to become kind of repetitive or like almost boring, like almost like a chore to learn. That could be a really nice time for a sleep detox. Or it just feels like it's time, right? It maybe feels like, you spent so much time learning about this topic while other aspects of your life has been sort of neglected, right? There's so many other things you haven't done. So it just feels like, I think it's time, like, or maybe just generally to feel, if you have understanding and it just feels like it, if this sleep detox idea sounds like a great idea, that could be like another one nice pointer. Now, third topic here is what about if it's really helpful or if we don't find it helpful? Because remember, we defined a sleep detox as sort of a period of time where we deliberately stop learning. So let's say we picked a time of like 2 weeks, right? Let's say it was like, for next 2 weeks, I'm going to sort of like not engage with any insomnia content. I'm just going to not talk to my coach. I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to go on this sleep detox. What if it helps, or what if you don't find it helpful, right? If you find, this was really helpful, really nice. I wasn't feeling frustrated. I felt like easy. Things felt easier for me. It just felt like a really nice thing. Then maybe you just extend it. You can extend it for another 2 weeks, for example, or you might just extend it indefinitely without any time frame. Your sleep detox has become this new phase of your life where you're like not thinking about sleep anymore, which is like the sleep detox kind of like it's kind of stops to exist when there's no time frame associated with it, or it's not a thing anymore. It just becomes your new reality, right? So if it helps, you can sort of like extend it for another period of time, or extend it indefinitely, whereby the whole concept just floats away and just you're just living your life and enjoying that. Now, what if it wasn't helpful? And I would just say, perhaps it wasn't time. Perhaps there was still some things to learn. Perhaps there were still a few things to understand, right? And so, if you find that even like, let's say a few days into your sleep that you feel like this wasn't time. This was kind of premature. This feels really difficult. No problem. Like, you can just you say that, this wasn't the time. Like, maybe go back to learning, go back to coaching, go back to educating yourself, and soon enough, it will be time for you to take that sleep detox. So we'll conclude there. Hope you found this really, really helpful, and thank you for being here, and look forward to having you real soon. I'll say bye for now.